And on that note, we join President Coach Steve Cleveland, a man who rocks a tie like no other. Coach, welcome back to the show. Joining us on the Deseret First Credit Union hotline. How are you this morning?
Doing great. It's about 35 degrees warmer here in Santa Clara, so that's a good thing, and I'm enjoying blue skies.
Follow him at Coach Cleve22 on the Twitter machine. He is there to watch BYU in Santa Clara. Why do you feel like the Cougars should be anxious about tonight's game against a team they have enjoyed so much success against?
Well, yeah, I guess you could say it would be easy to be a little bit overconfident when you start looking at what's happened the last 10 or 11 games. But I can think of a few things. Number one, when they played on December 29th, which seems like a long time ago, Santa Clara was beat by 30. And since that time, they're 5-2. They're actually in fourth place, a game behind BYU. They've had 2 wins on the road at San Diego and Pepperdine, and they've had 3 wins at home against USF, Portland, and LMU. So there's going to be increased confidence there by the team. Then just the normal film and practice and preparation and having an opportunity to dissect that game film, they'll put a plan together, and they're going to be much more confident shooting the ball at Santa Clara than they were at BYU, where they shot 30% and 22% from the three. So, and I think the other thing is that usually under new coaches, teams get better as the year goes on. They execute better, they're adjusting to a new program, new system, and so confidence is up. And then the ability for Jared Brownridge to go off in a big game. And he's not done that. He's played well in the tournament against BYU, but they do have 4 or 5 guys that can score 10 to 12 points. So if they hit their averages, this will be a really, really competitive game. And I think it will be competitive. But I think that BYU does have the upper hand. They're healthy. And they were a pretty confident group last night in terms of what I saw in their practice. So, but those are things that are making, I can tell you, maybe not so much the players anxious, but definitely the coaching staff.
Let's talk about Nick Emery. BYU practice, shot around on the court last night. What did you see from him, and does he look like he's going to play tonight?
He's going to play. I talked to him and kind of went through it, and I had listened to that game. I did not see the UOP game on TV until after the fact, and he had a really, really bad contusion in his quad and in his knee area, and everybody was kind of just holding their breath. And then Monday, when he got the MRI, there was no serious damage, and so it's just play to the level of pain you can deal with. And he did practice. And yesterday, and it was a little bit sore last night in the gym, but they're going to have a hard time keeping him off the floor. And sometimes you just have to see. But in my conversation with him, he was very positive and felt like he was ready, and he'd just deal with it.
Coach, would you put him on Jared Brownridge tonight?
I wouldn't, but that may be something that the coaches say, hey, we want you, and he'll go, no, I've got him. I'll be surprised if he's not guarding him. If he isn't, it'll be because he feels like he's a little bit limited. I think they have some other options, obviously. Elijah Bryant can guard him. He's got good size. Davin Gwynn has shown that for periods of time he can come in and guard everybody. He's kind of like glue. He just kind of never leaves him. He's really kind of focuses in on that. He's been good. So I think both of those players could guard Brownridge, but knowing Nick, he'll want to guard him, and maybe that's what'll get him quickly loose and comfortable and moving. The thing that sometimes happens is when you stop and it gets a little bit cold, it can be, as long as he's going. He did a great job on him at BYU, but whoever guards him will have their hands full here. It'll be a different situation. Everybody shoots better at home.
Steve Cleveland, the president coach, with us on BYU Sports Nation, joining us from Santa Clara, where it's 35 degrees warmer. Coach, just got a tweet in from @R7Bear who says, tell the president, Coach Cleveland, to start tweeting again. They want you back on Twitter, man. How are you feeling about that?
You know what? I think I am. I've kind of, I don't know what it was, but when I got off the mission, I thought, should I start doing that? But I think I will. And you let them know that, as soon as I get back to Provo, I'll get back into it and share a few thoughts and ideas that I have, and everybody can share their thoughts and ideas with me. So I need a little kick in the butt to get that going, so I appreciate a little help.
Hey, we all do. I know what that's like. Too many times, in fact. Hey, BYU played a really good defensive game at Pacific, 47 points allowed. Damon Stoudemire wanted to squeeze the life out of each possession there. BYU played well. Do you see BYU having a similar defensive effort tonight against Santa Clara?
You know what I do? I think that what's happened to this league is, we're watching this league change in front of our eyes. I mean, 10 years ago, this was an up-tempo, get after it, push the ball, a lot of possessions. And for predominantly most of the teams. And now what's happened, and maybe because we have new coaches and people are a little more conservative, St. Mary's is certainly possession by possession. And so it really puts a lot of pressure on your ability to defend. And you're right, they did a great job at UOP. And I wouldn't think that Santa Clara is going to want to run up and down the floor with these guys, but they will push it a little more than normally would on the road. But no, my thinking is this, that if they can get that same effort that they got at UOP, and they had a great effort, everybody that I talked to, coaches and everybody, they were really, really pleased with how they competed. And then what happened in the second half, they started flowing offensively in that UOP game. There was huge scoring droughts, and had they, not defended, they could have been down by 15, 18 points at half. So I think they bought into it. They're confident. Just being around the coaches and the players last night, they felt like they understand that they have to guard and value the ball on the road, and it's not going to be any different at Santa Clara tonight.
The previous dominance by BYU has no immediate impact on tonight's specific game, but the Cougars did beat Santa Clara by 30, as you mentioned earlier this season. But Las Vegas has BYU as just a 4-point favorite on the road. How close do you expect this game to be tonight?
Well, there's people might look at that and go, how could that be? You can't underestimate, number one, a team playing at home. And let's just take a look at what's happened in college basketball this past week, where, teams are getting beat. I think we've had 4 ranked teams beat this week. And when you go on the road, anything can happen. And players, I don't think the crowd will be a factor. In fact, I believe that sometimes they think, well, there's an advantage with the crowd. But I think there'll be more BYU fans at this game than probably Santa Clara fans. But the things we mentioned earlier, just the practice, the preparation, it's been a month or so since they played. Teams get better. They're at home. They're sleeping in their own bed. There's energy there, and they've shot hundreds and hundreds of free throws and threes there. So that being said, there is a significant advantage to playing at home. And up until the UOP game, other than the UOP game, BYU has not demonstrated that they could go on the road and get stops and take not just good shots, but take the best shot. So there's a history there, even in this league, in this short 3 or 4 weeks. Everybody has all the analytics, and they know that, as both of you suggested, I think a week or two ago, when BYU's been on the road, they're shooting about 10 and 12% less than they do at home, and they're giving up almost 50% field goal percentage. So if you just look at the numbers, it makes sense that it's going to be a tight game. However, I think the experience at UOP has kind of woke BYU up to the fact that, hey, we can play differently on the road and win on the road. We don't have to score 100 points. If we guard and get good shots and pound it and rebound and get to the free throw line, that's the formula for winning on the road. And I think that, for me, I don't think it's going to be that close a game. I think it's going to be competitive, but I think if BYU does the things they did at UOP, they come away with a win here.
Coach, great to talk to you as always. Enjoy the warmer weather for all of us back here, freezing specifically in Provo, Utah, in Studio B. But we appreciate the insight. Look forward to a great game tonight.
Thanks. Look forward to it as well. And you all have a safe day.
We'll see you. We'll see you on Twitter. Okay.
Sounds good. You know what? I'll get a little tweet or two out before I leave Santa Clara.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what we like to hear. Thanks, Coach.